All right. Let me know how the audio is. Remember, if the audio is bad, it is your fault, not mine. Remember that. If it's good, then we're both okay. All right. Let me know if the audio is all right. Yes, it's ridiculously hot. We're going to hit 97 degrees here. I know you're in Texas. That's a little crazy. I don't even want to know. But in New York, it's not just hot, it's humid, which means there's no oxygen. So let me know if this is okay. We'll get going in a minute. As we do almost every Monday, I'm available. I try to make it, guys. I try to make it. Sounds good, says Steve. All right, we're gonna go for this then. Let me click a couple things here. If you guys are ready to get into this, type ready and where you're from in that chat. I want to see who's here, where you're from, what we're doing here. All right. Type ready and where you're from in the chat. Okay. All right, here we go. We got the AC cranking, so I do have noise reduction on, so hopefully it's not too crazy for you guys or it doesn't sound a little jank, but you know. All right, let's just go right into this. Boom. What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. I don't know. Welcome to 42 West 18th Street. This is the Adorama event space. And we've been cranking pretty hard on this channel, huh? If you haven't noticed, a lot of new subscribers. If you're new, welcome. I am pretty happy with the momentum we're getting into lately. So whatever's happened, whatever you're here for, thank you for being here for it. If you didn't know, we recently just had a live stream with Chloe Ramirez. She did some creative dramatic lighting in here. It's a pretty concise, short demo. A lot of interaction with the crowd, to say the least. But there was also compilation videos. So I'm trying to put together past live streams that aren't obsolete or outdated, put them together that have some sort of common theme, even if they're different presenters and instructors. Like this one I put out with Peter Hurley and Jerry Guionis, that was a lot about working with people and your subject, getting people to feel comfortable or getting the most out of them, or just getting yourself comfortable with shooting people, right? So go check that one out if you haven't. I'm making them so they're 2 to 3 hours long, so you can just put those on, let them run, because I know how it is. You just want something playing in the background, or you're home working from home or whatever, or you're editing, throw it on. You might grab something golden here and there for sure. What's going on, Deborah, Edgar, Colin, Steve, Casey, Ian, Sith Lord, Suffolk, New York. How far out in Suffolk are you? It is hitting 97 degrees today. We're looking at 100 degrees tomorrow. My trains have been all messed up. I've been sick the last week, which sucked. You can tell from my voice. Hopefully we can make it to the hour. Thank you, Deborah. This is a great shirt. This is a shout out to Mike's Underground Pizza. He's a guy out in Long Island that literally you can't go. You have to like text him to get an order. So shout out to him. He put out these shirts and I just appreciate what he's doing out there. I like that there's a pizza community and a pizza culture. And I totally went to him when I was trying to get the Brooklyn Reflector made. I was like, where can I go to get custom pizza boxes? And the guy was slinging me links, didn't know who I was, nothing. So hopefully one day I can get him in here or something and we can shoot his portrait using the Brooklyn Reflector, right? That would be super awesome. And I like supporting people, you know, which is what this event space is about, whether it's supporting other photographers, people getting into this, or you guys supporting back to this channel by hitting up Adorama for whatever you guys need. That's supporting actual photographers, people that are here between gigs, that have it supplemental while they're getting their career going or in down slopes or whatever. They're here, but they also are us. So you are supporting us by coming here for things. Not that jungle website that doesn't care about you so that they can buy another yacht, you know? There is a few questions in the IG. I put up the IG question sticker before I go live, and I collect a few questions that way. Before we get into that, I did want to go over this week's events really quick. I hope you guys can let me get into that. So if you want, this is the QR code up. This QR code takes you to the events page, and the events page looks like this. Anya Ante is going to be here on Wednesday. She's going to be doing a self-portrait, like a fine art self-portrait, and then she's going to take you all the way through editing it. So she's going to start from zero, light photograph herself, conceptualize it, right? And then she's going to take it into Photoshop and edit it all the way through the way she does photo manipulation. So that's a very cool one, especially if you're someone that you don't know what to shoot that day. You're just trying to get into something to keep yourself busy. Self-portraits are I believe is a fundamental to photographers. No one has to see your images, but you stay sharp. You know what it feels like to be on the other side of the camera. You stretch a few muscles out. You shake off a little bit of rust. So check that out. That's gonna be 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. And then Daniel Norton makes his triumphant return back on Thursday for Clean, Beautiful Portraits Made Easy. Does it get more clickbaity than that? Does it get more clickbait than that? Clean, beautiful portrait. That's what you guys want. So he's going to give it to you, and it's Daniel, right? So he's coming back twice a month, I believe. And just so you guys know, the Adorama Critique is back. Yeah, July 22nd on Eventbrite. You have to be here in person. Me and Dan Norton will go over your work. We'll give you constructive insights. So you submit 3 images, up to 3 images. They don't have to be your best shots. They have to be the shots that you're looking for feedback on. You come here, we talk to you, we go through it, and we both give you what we think works, doesn't work, where you can go from there. It's not about saving the shot, like what could you do in Lightroom? It's more about what to keep in consideration for the next time you shoot. So it's about getting better. It's about getting insights. It's about seeing more perspectives than just your own. And that is super important and crucial. And again, that is not streamed. That is in-room only. It's kind of like Adult Swim. It's after hours feeling, lights are low. It's pretty chill. I appreciate it. So hopefully July 22nd, you guys can come if you're in town, If not, it's okay. We're going to try to keep it going. The next one is going to be September. So just be aware of that. All right. So Antonio Alonso is asking, I know you've talked about this before. What think tank suitcase do you recommend for travel to Europe with camera gear, not lighting, just camera gear? Well, the one that I always tell you guys to check out is this one. Let's go to Adorama, Think Tank, Security V3. Let's see what comes up here. Okay. So this is the one that I tell you guys to go check out. The Airport Security V3 is, first of all, I've had them for almost 10 years. I haven't even replaced the wheels, and they've been around the world with me, right? The V3 also comes in the international version, which is physically smaller. If you're worried about Europe and the planes being small and stuff like that, or whatever regulations, consider that one. But the domestic one I've taken everywhere, and it is the largest internal space while still being carry-on compliant. And that means I can carry things like Murph stands, mini extendable reverse folding stands, the Matthews ones. I think the internal space is somewhere between 20, 21 inches long, which is huge for me. And that's the one I've been taking. But, they have a whole line. If you want something smaller than that, go check them out. But I'll say Think Tank has been amazing my whole career. I can't, their cases have been just like my go-to for a lot of things. And I've been rocking that specific one for a long time. Okay, so hope that answers that one. Let me clear this. What's going on, Kathy? Hope you're well. Ronkonkoma. Boy, do I know Ronkonkoma. In my BMX days, Ronkonkoma was exit, I think, 63 on the Long Island Expressway. And we used to go out there and ride the famous and legendary 7-Eleven trails. There were a huge dirt jumps behind, a set of dirt jumps behind a 7-Eleven in Ronkonkoma. I'm pretty sure it was Ronkonkoma. I was a kid, but I'm pretty sure it was. And then there came a day where they were going to bulldoze it and get rid of it finally. So everybody grabbed Slurpee cups and took home dirt from the trails as a memento. I remember I tried to save it as long as I could, but it ended up getting thrown out along the way. So it's been a million years, so it is what it is. Yeah, see, Marcus is in with that think tank as well. So I'm going to get into the questions on the Instagram sticker first, because I think they had questions from it 2 days ago. So I'm going to give it to them really quick. Okay. Really. What am I doing here? Joe, I will jump on that question in a minute. Let me get through these really quick. Hold on. And I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everybody's feeling motivated. If you're new here, hit subscribe. If you're in that chat, smash like. It helps out everything. Thanks, Edith. This shirt brought to you by Mike's Underground Pizza on Instagram. Check him out. I think it's super cool that there's like a pizza community. Really, I think that's so cool. And without that, how do we get better pizza, right? Right? Okay. Where am I going with these question stickers here? There we go. Okay, the first question I got is thank you. Someone's actually just making a comment that with AI flying, they think that analog will be back in a big way. I think in the end, you have to realize, while amazing analog is, as much as we love film and stuff like that, you have to realize there hasn't been a surge in film equipment in a long time. I mean, we're looking at some boutique cameras here or there, but most of the cameras people are shooting film on are 30 years old or longer. So you would think, because there's like always like a pendulum, like AI this way, analog that way. In the end, what I think we're going to see is a lot of digital simulation of analog processes, especially when analog costs a lot of money. I mean, you're talking about processing, you're talking about storage, negatives going into sleeves is a cost, prints being made, contact sheets, getting them scanned if you want to get scans. Like getting a roll of film and processing is pricey. And while I appreciate everybody that has a huge love for it, I will always have a love for film, and I will always have a stash of film in my fridge, and I will always have film cameras. You got to kind of be a little realistic with that. All right, this one isn't too crazy. What's the big difference between the Fuji Film GFX 100S2 and the GFX 100-2? So the 100S came out, and it was a significantly lower cost version of the big GFX 100, right? So then when the GFX 100-2 came out, the 100S2 came out, and it was a significantly lower price point than the GFX 100-2. So what's the big difference? Okay, so this hand, the one with the key on it, that's the GFX 100-2. That is their flagship. That is what they're considering their top, right? Over here, GFX 100S2, right? So this is a little bit of a lower cost option here. What are the main differences? Well, some things you guys might not care about, but I did. So one, the GFX 100-2 has faster frames per second, has higher res video options, raw video, an full-size HDMI port, Ethernet port, which you might find very helpful in some commercial situations, and the ability to do a grip, which is massive for me. And the viewfinder is removable, allowing you to put on a tilt viewfinder if you want. Plus, it's 9 million dot, while the 100S2 is something like, I don't know, 4 or 5 million dot. And if you don't care about the resolution that much, that's fine. But that is a difference, right? So with the 100S2, you're kind of getting that camera is that camera body. The viewfinder is that viewfinder. There's no optional grip to put on there. And it's, for me, I haven't done side-by-side tests, but I have shot both cameras, and I do own the 100-2. I just feel that the 100-2 has this snappiness to it and is a little bit quicker. And that might have something to do with the fact that it does faster frames per second, higher res video. It does do raw video, things like that. So there might be something with the processing there. Either way, they're both phenomenal cameras. But if you don't care about what is going on over here and you want to save a little bit of money and get into the GFX 100 system, without going into older bodies, the 100S2 is a great option for you, okay? That's kind of where it is. So I just don't, I mean, the battery grip alone for me on the 102 was so, I mean, I just wanted that so bad. So that alone, plus I do think that the video capability, when I want to go and do something with that camera, just having it there, you know, if I'm going to go that deep, I'll go all the way with the cost and everything like that. Plus I already had lenses, so it was a different story for me. So that's one question from the IG stories. And another one is a photo you did inspired by Vitruvian Man. It wasn't really inspired. He's talking about a photo I did of a girl that was like this. Do I even have it? I might have it. I might have it. Let me see if I have it. Ghosting demo. Boom. I'm guessing you mean this one. Is what I'm guessing you're talking about. So this is the image they're talking about that I shot a million years ago. This was shot on a D800. This was shot on a D800. So it was a little while ago. A photo you did inspired, did you use shutter drag or pulsing flash? So technically both. In order to do this, you need the shutter to stay open. That's dragging the shutter. This might have been a couple seconds open, I can't remember. But because the movement is stopping every step that she's doing it, it's clearly a pulsing flash. If it wasn't a pulsing flash, she would have had to, and it wouldn't have been as sharp, stop, hold, stop, hold, stop, hold, right? That's the only way to achieve that because her movement becomes a shutter speed, right? If she does this, nothing's gonna stop, 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 you know? So this is you could call it a stroboscopic effect, but you could even see that over here with the drag in between each stop of her arms, that is clearly ambient light making a reflection off her hands as she's moving. So she's not stopping, she's going for it, but the strobe pop, 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 pop is stopping, 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 right? So, you know, do I have another version of this? I might have another version of this, hang on. Hang on. I might have another version where she is. So here, this is a version where it's not stopped, right? So this is just a shutter drag, but no strobing effect and just flashing on her face to keep her face nice and crisp, right? So that's the big difference, right? Big, small decision, big difference in the small decision. What am I going to say? Small decision, but a big change in the setup and a big change in the final image, right? Just dragging the shutter with one strobe going, dragging the shutter with multiple pops. So I'm glad I have this image on hand. I usually, and I have it on hand because whenever I got to do a quote unquote ghosting demo or shutter drag demo, whatever you guys want to call it, I just keep on. It's so much easier to bring up images because some people have no idea what you're talking about, especially if you're new to lighting or new to shooting and everything like that. All right, I have a few more on Instagram, but I'm gonna go really quickly to your questions. I saw one before. Okay, Micah. Joe McGinnis says, hey Seth, at my last shoot, your model was photographing at a weird eye squint happening. I knew her before, but never saw this and didn't want to mention it to her and make her feel weird. So is your question, okay, well, first of all, I wouldn't talk about someone as if they looked like they were having a stroke. Like, let's have a little bit more respect for your subjects, right? So if you're saying she looked a little awkward, then what I would do is try to mitigate this in some way as a portrait. What was the shot for? Was it a portrait? Was it for a corporate? Was it for a headshot because they're trying to be an actor? Like, is there a reason for it? Because that dictates whether or not you have some creative freedom or not, right? And if you did, you can play things like shooting more with her eye that's a little more open, closer to frame, having this one go a little more softer in the depth of field and things like that. So you have these things you can play with to highlight one thing and draw attention away from another one, right? Portrait, headshot, real estate. So if that's the case, then all you're going to do is basically take an image, a referential shot of who this person is, so that when their clients go to meet them, they look like that person, right? What you could do is just be very honest, show them the shot and be like, hey, is it possible to relax this eye? And if she says, well, I actually have a medical condition or something like that, remember, you have to understand this is a person in front of you. Instead of going, oh, they look weird, or like, try to understand, well, why is this occurrence happening? Is there something they're sensitive to? Do they have a medical condition? Something like that, instead of quickly going to a superficial reasoning for it. Had this been a client of mine, I'd probably do something where I've seen other shots of her where it wasn't like that. Well, I guess what the question is did she have the squint in front of your face? Was her eye squinting when she was in front of you, or was it a reaction to your strobes? Could you, or whatever lighting, could you have relaxed the lighting a little bit so that it was more comfortable for them to be in front of those lights? The reality is that if you don't address it, you don't know what the cause is. If you don't know what the cause is, you can't solve it, right? So if you're saying that she doesn't always have this squint to her, then maybe there was something in that situation, in an environment, that you were causing it. And again, I'm not there. You're asking me this on the spot. This is what I'm gathering, right? So what I would do is show her the image and be like, hey, this is kind of happening. Are you feeling comfortable? Is the lights bothering you or anything? Just ask her questions towards a solution. Like, are your eyes getting dry or something? Or I would honestly ask if she has light sensitivity, something like that. So even if that's not the reason, the discussion is up there. The ice is broken, and you can have an adult, respectful conversation about it. And then once she says something that gets you closer to this is the cause, then we start coming up with solutions. But always be respectful. Always remember they're people. Always remember you can talk to them, right? You're both trying to get the best result for that person, right? So, hey, miss, this is the image. I'm noticing this. Are you a little light sensitive in that eye, perhaps? Do you need to take a second, or something like that could go a long way, could change everything. Okay, so Tony, what's going on, Tony? How are you? Tony's asking, I hear views on high-speed sync as a last resort. I hear it strains your flash, may reduce the lifespan. Many people recommend using an ND filter instead. So what is high-speed sync, first of all, and what is it doing? So high-speed sync is where your strobe surges in. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Your strobe is in sync with your shutter and the way it opens and closes. So when you hit the shutter and it opens up, it then closes at the end of the exposure. But it gets to a point where if you are speeding up that shutter, it's closing faster than the sync the sync of when the strobe is firing. What do I mean by that? So I feel like I've explained this 8 million times on this channel. So let's say this is not, let's make this a little bit more of a square, shall we? Let's say this square, oh my God, is your sensor, and there is a shutter opening and closing. Shutter opens, and then a shutter comes right behind it to close it, or this way rather. Open, close. But at some point when the shutter gets fast, past 2/50th, you're at 1,000th of a second, right? It opens, this comes right behind it and becomes a slit that runs down your exposure plane. It's going along your sensor, but it's just a slit. It's never fully open. And because of that, the strobe only exists for a few milliseconds, and that might only exist here, and then it's still traveling down, but it's blacked out, right? So, or it might actually be firing faster, whatever. Anyway, it's out of sync with your strobe. High-speed sync doesn't let it be just one strobe. It surges the power of your flash up so that it can quickly pulsate. So it's flash, 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 and it covers the exposure plane. But because it's pushing so much power to recycle. The flash duration gets really long. I know some people don't realize that, but your flash duration gets longer in high-speed sync. Your flash power gets boosted up. So yeah, it's like throwing turbo or nitrous into an engine. It does put wear on not that that's not designed to handle it, but if you're gonna push something as hard as you can go, more often than not, it's gonna have more wear on it. So for me, high-speed sync is only for a very certain situation where I want a shallow depth of field in a lot of ambient light. Meaning, I need to speed up my shutter because my aperture is at like 1.8, right? Like I am wide open and it's soft depth of field, but if I'm all the way wide open, there's a ton of ambient light coming in. So what are my options? Well, if my ISO is all the way down already, my shutter speed. So my shutter speed will not affect the exposure of the strobe. So if I bring up that shutter speed, it starts taking down that background light that's burning through and overexposing that background, right? I can't really do it in here because I don't even have enough ambient light to really do this with, I guess. But it really only works on wide open apertures anyway, and the strobe relatively close because it's pushing so hard. People go into high-speed sync at f8, you're not even going to see the flash come up in exposure. But if you're pushing high-speed sync at 1.2, 1.8, f2, yeah, you're going to 2.8. Yeah, you'll see high-speed sync come into play. But if you're closed down, it's not this magic bullet. It really isn't. So for me, high-speed sync is for a situation where you want a shallow depth of field in an environment that has a lot of ambient light. To get that look, that's what you get. Should you use ND filters instead? The difference between using ND filter and high-speed sync is an ND filter is like putting sunglasses on your lens, right? So if I'm blocking out light globally, meaning ambient and strobe, right? Because this strobe has to get through that ND glass as well. You're basically starving the sensor of light. You're not starving, but you're basically eliminating some light from entering you're basically limiting the light entering the camera, both from ambient and strobe. And you could easily do this, but if you're using a strobe that isn't in a situation that's going to give you enough power to get through that ND with what you need for an exposure, that's the other side of the coin, right? So if you are closing down, for example, and you don't want a shallow depth of field, that's when I'd start throwing an ND filter on. You know, high-speed sync is great if I'm shooting shallow. If I'm closing down, high-speed sync won't even work. And that's when I might think of doing an ND filter. However, I'm probably closing down because there's so much light entering the camera already. So it's subjective to your environment and your atmosphere. I feel like I went all over the place on this. Basically, the difference is your strobe pulsing and surging in power. That is basically trying to keep up with the exposure setting that's in your camera. If you want to knock out ambient light with an ND filter and then get to an exposure that the ambient looks good to you, and then you bring in a strobe, your strobe might have to go up in power, but it's not gonna have to pulsate. You might get shorter flash durations, maybe, depending on how much power you're not having a surge, right? Because so instead of it going up to full power, maybe it only needs like half power or something like that. There's a whole lot of stuff that I can go down a rabbit hole with this, and I feel like I probably missed a ton of messages from you guys. Thanks, JDS. Appreciate you. Really appreciate you. Does that make sense? High-speed sync is not a magic bullet and is not always going to work. High-speed sync, in my opinion, is a very specific use case where you have this need for a shallow look. There's a ton of ambient light going on, but you still want to use a strobe. Usually a backlit subject, right? Because if you were going to put a strobe in there, it's probably because they're silhouetted, right? Let me see if I can, wonder if I can, I've never tried it in here. We can give it a shot. Quinn, let's give Quinn a round of applause, guys. Quinn, a round of applause. Let's see. I'm just going to use a raw light. We don't care. We don't care what it looks like. We just want to see what happens here. Let me see really quick. Whoa, am I stuck on a bunch of legs here? Stuck on a bunch of legs here. Sorry guys, I was shooting something way different than what I'm doing here. Bingo. Okay. This is an f4 lens. I'm gonna switch over to, what do I got with me? I got the Plena. We can shoot at 1.8 and I can try to do a high-speed sync situation in here. I don't think it's gonna work out too well, but it might. I've never actually given it a shot, to be very honest. Do you guys want to get into this? Do you guys care? Pretty much, I think didn't we do high-speed sync? No, we did shooting at night or something like that last time. So, you know, there's so many questions coming in. Oh my God. Let me know if you guys want to try to fudge a high-speed sync situation in here, and I'll give it a shot. Makes total sense. Was just concerned you'd be burning out the strobe. Yeah, you would. I personally, yes. I think you're putting a lot of wear on a strobe constantly going into high-speed sync. However, the more modern lights are designed to handle it. But if you think of it like an engine and you shove a ton of power through an engine, the harder it works, the more heat it builds up. You know, you're putting it in situations that's working harder. Your bulb, don't forget about the bulb. It's not just the light. The bulb itself is too. Coatings on the bulb, you know, things like that could absolutely, you know. Oh my God, I still have questions on the IG story. I feel like I'm getting into quicksand here. Sorry. Okay, that. All right, these I can answer without having to shoot. So let me just do these two questions really quick. And let me do these two questions really quick. Jeez, what just happened? Sorry guys, it is 97 degrees. I am dying. I want to like shave my head. I know. I don't know how she stays so cool. Look at her, she never sweats. Amazing. So someone's asking, if you only had 2 lights and 2 modifiers for the rest of your life, what would they be? Not about lights, but if I had to just deal with 2 modifiers, probably a big umbrella with a diffuser, because I can always make that umbrella small if I needed to, but I can also make it a large light source if I need to. And I would probably throw in like a 1x3 strip, because I can shape, and I can also have a small key to shape if I want and use the umbrella as fill anytime I want, or use the shooter group or something like that. So it's, yeah, if I have to answer that, maybe that. Yeah. And the last one I'm going to answer is, I just lost it, so I guess we're not answering that. Awesome. Way to go, Seth. Oh no, there's 2 more questions. I'm sorry. So someone's asking, is rear curtain sync mostly for moving subjects? The short answer to that is no. So rear sync, sure, it has to do with some sort of movement in the frame, but it doesn't just have to be your subject. It can be you as well. So maybe we can do that too in a little bit, where we shoot, and then if I move, I have ambient exposure, and then bang, strobe exposure. And I can do that because I'm moving, right? Rear sync isn't so much only about movement. To me, it's about time. The reason I say it's about time is because, let's say you have a dragged shutter. I'm talking, I don't know, half a second, whatever. You have an ambient exposure happening, and then that strobe happening at the end of that moment. So for me, it's not about the movement as much as it's about the moment. So think of it this way. If I have someone standing still like this, and I want them to look like they're the owner of a nightclub, and I shoot in rear sync, well, if I have dancers behind him going blurry, and he's standing there nice and crisp, I'd rather it be in rear sync, because I'd rather the movement behind him make sense sequentially. Meaning, if there's some guy picking up some dance partner or something, I want it to be in rear sync to where it looks more like that's the movement happening, rather than catching it in backwards as ambient light. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, for me, rear sync has always been this fall to on my style, and I think Joe McNally as well. even if it's subtle, even if it's like a 15th of a second, just small movements, but you're seeing the progression of time from where movement started to where it ended, rather than flash and then seeing all this movement happen after the fact. There's cases for both, but for me, rear sync makes more sense to most people looking at an image trying to get what you're trying to show them, you know, stuff like that. Okay. And then the last one from Instagram is, what's the best way to reduce wrinkles using lighting? Very simply, if without going into a huge long demo about it, because you can go into a huge demo about this. One, don't fight the fact that they have wrinkles. Optimize the way that person could look. Larger, softer light sources will cause gradation rather than stark textures. Wrinkles are a texture. Also, don't have your light drag across the textures, because that's what's going to cause them to do like these micro sundials. Just like a nose shadow, think of it on a micro level. So the more you can mitigate dragging the shadows out and highlighting the texture, that means softer, bigger, less contrasty, and a little bit more forward with a little bit more fill in case there is shadows to kind of take that density away from them. That's to make a long story short. You guys are right. I feel like I'm rambling. There's nobody talking in this chat. Got like 75 of you and only 30 likes. I feel like I'm all over the place on this one, but so are you guys, to be fair. To be fair. I saw Leandro is saying, I'm trying to go from hobbyist photographer to professional one. What would you recommend for someone who's starting that is into portrait and nature? So what exactly are you trying to do professionally? Are you trying to be hired as a service to go photograph for someone? Or are you trying to build a body of work for someone to buy from you, meaning prints or books or something like that? There's a lot more to this question for sure. And you have to kind of figure out what your avenue is here. All right. Because if it's professional to you, meaning just being paid for what you do, right? So, or what are we looking for here? Jacob is asking, I use Godox lights, so flashpoint. You're at Adorama, buddy. Flashpoint. If I want to gradually upgrade to Pro Photo, how to approach it without getting into color wipe? Okay, so one, always prioritize whatever you're going to use for your key light mainly, right? So if you have your most powerful light, for example, is always going to be your key. You're always throwing that one up to start your, whatever is going to shape your subject is also going to reflect the color, the look comes from that light. Everything else is supplemental. You can get away with some color shifting on background lights and rim lights. Fill lights, I'm a big stickler on fill lights not having color shift on them, but most people might not notice a few 100 degrees here or there. I would start with your key light, and if you don't want to go all in, check out the used department. The used department at Adorama and Pro Photo used is totally a viable market for sure. B2 kits are very affordable. You can look into B1s, but very affordable Pro Photo, B2 kits for sure. For sure. Okay. Okay. What made you go all in on Pro Photo other than other premium brands? Pro Photo to me just felt like it was most supported, right? So in North America, you're not seeing Broncolor as much in rental houses everywhere as it used to be, or newer models coming out, or options within the line. Broncolor is amazing. Broncolor is amazing. Elechrome, good stuff. I just think that Pro Photo is constantly giving me firmware updates to make sure that every remote I have always works with every camera I have. They've done firmware updates that made my TTL better, my battery life more efficient. They are constantly fleshing out the system. Their support is great. So it just seems like there's a lot of life and a lot of support. And honestly, I haven't run into problems with Pro Photo. Last stream, if you saw that where we shot this, I ran into a bunch of problems. And then what ended up being the problem? This mook right here. The remote wasn't all the way in the shoe, and I was having all sorts of problems. I think we were, look at this, all these misfires and stuff, and just, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I looked down and I realized it was user error. And that's the kind of gear I like, user error, not gear failure, right? So that's just why I've gone with Profoto personally. That said, you can see plenty of streams and videos where me and Daniel and everybody else are also shooting flashpoint and other lights. It's not about, you know, always spending the most money on lights. It's about being able to go shoot, right? That's the key right there. All right. Ooh, I'm losing my voice. I asked a recurring question. I want to shoot my daughter doing a dance move with motion showing. So for me, that's rear sync. I want to see the what do you call it, like the apex or the premiere moment. So if she's, I don't know what kind of dance or whatever, and I can't dance and we're not going to see me dance, but if someone's doing jump splits, I want to see the motion, where it came from, the strain going up, and then pop, and all that blur can happen to show me where she came from for that moment. How I don't see as much of an impact as pop and then she's coming down. I want to see how she went from ground floor to up. I want to see where she came from to the real epic moment, not the epic moment to a dying down. There are cases and there are movements which that would show, that would probably show better, right? If it, I'm sorry, I'm talking really bad right now. I'm talking bad right now. There are situations and movements where showing the movement after the fact might be really more beneficial. Where would that happen? Well, here's a perfect example in my opinion. Let's say you're photographing a fight. It would be amazing to have rear sync where I see the guy throwing the punch, right? His motion and then frozen. Or I could do slow sync where it fires, or I'm sorry. Or I can do a shutter drag after the flash and show where this guy's falling to, right? So it's either shutter drag, flash, or flash, shutter drag. And in that case, the rear sync is optimized for the guy throwing the punch. The guy taking the punch, I think, is better the opposite way because I want to see that impact and then watch him fall, right? Because if I had the flash when he hits the ground, well, what happened here? That's kind of where you're making your decision. Where do you want to see the movement from? What's your really pinnacle moment? And what is the story there? So I think that's a pretty good analogy, right? We're talking about shutters open, drag, 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 punch, flash. Now we're seeing where this punch came from, right? Actually, I'll do it with the left hand. All this motion, flash. But if I did flash and then let this drag down, we're seeing the movement of this epic fall of this warrior, right? Or whatever you want to call it. Does that make sense? Hope that makes sense. Okay. I feel like my chat room just froze. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Everybody seems, I think I got through like 17 questions there, right? Jeez, man. My brain is killing me. I think. So yes, being able to make money for photographing nature to sell to magazines, but also more artistic portraits like you do. Well, look, I'm not a landscape guy. I can't really speak to that, but I will say the majority of landscape photographers make money selling prints, make money putting together collections like books, right? So, and usually it's because it's cohesive about a certain subject. No one's really going out there to be like, oh, I really want a landscape from this guy. I mean, Peter Lick is a rare occasion, Ansel Adams or whatever. But the reality is if you're someone that's going, hey, here's a landscape book or collection of images from this state park. People that are going to go visit that state park or are fans of camping there are more likely to buy that book. But is guy on the street going to buy that book if it's just random landscapes? I don't know, right? And no one's getting rich selling books, okay? So if you want to call it more of a project than a profession, or more of a project than a full-on career, you're going to have to find supplemental things. Maybe mixing your portraits with portraiture of people from the area in which that landscape is being photographed. That's a project. Now you're going to have to figure out where that project could be sold for you to make a living. That's another story. And that's the truth about this, is like you have to figure out where your revenue stream is going to come from. Who would buy those images? Why would they buy those images? And answer those questions. Why didn't I plug this in? Why didn't I plug this in? Why didn't somebody tell me? Hold on, guys. I am missing a power cable to this camera, and I don't want her to die on me. Let's plug that in. Let me just make sure there is a power cable on this one. Of course there isn't, because Seth doesn't pay attention to anything. Tell me that nothing has a power cable on it. Nope, this doesn't have a power cable. Brilliant, Seth. You're brilliant. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. You're brilliant, Seth. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Well, it's a live stream and I'm self-producing, and this is what happens every time. All right, cool. All right. All right. Seth, your advice of 5000K white balance has proven to be awesome. I see other photographers using flash white balance setting. When I explain them why I'm using 5000K, all they say is I'll fix it in Photoshop. So look, I don't understand the whole concept of, hey, it only take me a few seconds when I can just take a few seconds once. And you also have to realize that a lot of times I'm shooting, I've got a client literally next to me, and some of them are hypersensitive to what they're looking at. I mean, I'm shooting for makeup artists sometimes. You want to talk about people that understand color theory, that understand what they're looking at? You know, they go, why is this looking a little yellow? Why is this looking a little warm? And the worst is if you're shooting for a makeup artist and they see their work and it looks a little warm and they want to step in there to change something to make it cool down or something. You're like, whoa, it's on you and you should know that. Not every system shoots the same. Not every light shoots the same. Some soft boxes are warmer. Some lights are cooler. Some cameras are more favorable to warm tones than cool tones. You've got to really kind of figure out what's going on. Peter Hurley's demo, actually, the one that we just put on this channel as a compilation, he goes into, well, Canon has this color science, Capture One has this color science, and this, and you know, Westcott, the lights he was using, had this color science. So you're using 3 different people's opinions on what the color science should be. No matter what data you want to throw at it, in the end, it's 3 different systems doing 3 different things with different types of tools and different types of point of view. So you're gonna have to figure out the way you want your images to look. My argument is, if I can figure out how to do it as I shot it, why spend time? Oh, I'll just play with my white balance later. People that say that to me, I feel like haven't really shot in a high pressure, high speed environment, and you know, that kind of thing, you know. And sometimes you do get that luxury. Sometimes it's a high-end commercial shoot and they're expecting it to be processed and stuff like that. And these are just like a baseline images, and you're gonna make sure the whole background's cleared out and all the retouching and stuff. And that's a whole nother story as well. You know, I feel like someone's gonna comment on this like, that's not true. I shoot for blah, blah, and we blah, 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 blah. It's like, whatever. All right. I feel like most landscape photographers do 2 things well: YouTube vlogs and destination workshops. Yeah, the workshops are another thing for sure. Their work is amazing. The books are fun, but yeah, they're not living on royalties from that. That's the reality is that, you know, people, look, I've seen people make pretty decent paydays, not full careers, but paydays selling a series of landscapes to a hotel in that area or to coffee shops in that area. But people care more about the area of the landscape than buying or needing to own a landscape image. That's the reality of it. I mean, it's just what it is, you know? All right, what were we gonna do? I don't remember. We were gonna mimic a, do you guys still wanna do this high-speed thing? I gotta change lenses. You guys want to change this plena, this 1.8, because I think we need to have like a nice shallow aperture. I'm probably going to have to shut off these two lights just to make this happen. I never really did high-speed sync in this event space because it never made sense to me, but why not? You know. Oh, boy. There's so much schmutz on my camera because I've just been running and gunning. You guys are right in there. If you're new here, hit subscribe. If you are a new subscriber and you're just now watching this channel live for the first time, because we just had a surge in subscriber base and I am so psyched on that. Thank you guys so much for joining us here. Appreciate you. Wow, there is just stuff everywhere on this. Hang on, guys. I don't want to open up this lens mount without doing a quick scrub-a-dub on this. Hang on. Hang on. Why shut up those lights? No. So here's Vanessa Joy's texting me. I'm live right now on Adorama events. Maybe she'll pop in the chat. Why shut off those lights? Simple. So let me see if this camera will turn on. Because now that it's dead, we'll see if it turns on. Okay. So if I want to do camera 5. Okay. Can you guys see me? Okay. So if I want to do a high-speed sync shot, we want to have a background that has a lot of light, not so much light on our subject because we're making an exposure here, right? So the exposure we're going to make is keeping it shallow, a lot of light coming in, and then boosting up our shutter speed so that this doesn't get blown out. If there's light falling on Quinn, which is that light and that light, we don't get that silhouette to then fill in with the strobe that we need the high-speed sync for. Does that make sense? All right. Let's go back to this. Oh, Vanessa Joy, here she is. Look at that. Hi, Vanessa Joy. I didn't even read your texts. I'm sure it's enthralling and life-changing, and I will get to that in a bit. Let's change lenses to something with a really shallow aperture, like 1.8. I just happen to have this plena on me. It's interesting because I was not going to bring this lens today, so this is just like weird that I have it, but you know, it is what it is. Let's do this. Okay, so what we want to do is get a shallow aperture, right? We might have to fudge this a little bit by putting up the ISO so that I get the effect that I'm looking at, you know? Let me see. What do we want to do? We want to do 1.8. Let's take a look at what she looks like really quick. Oh, wow, this is a long lens, kids. This is a long 135. So what I'm hopefully going for here is, nah, there's not enough light in here to do this. Yeah, like even at the sync, I'm getting a perfectly fine exposure. What can I do? What can I do? Maybe if I shoot up into the lights. Let me see. Nah, not even really. All right, I tell you what, we're gonna fudge the snot out of this. And what am I gonna do? I'm gonna shoot a terrible photo up into the lights. I'm gonna make the lights the blown out part, and we're gonna speed up the shutter speed till we see the grids come into play from the lights, okay? This is going to be a bad shot, but we're proving a concept here, I guess you could say. All right? This is, what am I even doing? How did my career turn into shooting junky shots into a light? What is this? Who is this? What is happening here? What is happening here? All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna shut off the light that's pumping right into Quinn's face. I'm gonna shut off this backlight. So now it's I know it's a little darker in here. And I'm gonna shut off this overhead blue. All right. And so now the shot that we're gonna get is horrible shot. I know this is going to be a horrible shot, but here's 200th of a second, 1.8 with the flash sync on, right? So let's go to this This is that crazy shot we did last week. If you missed it, it was a huge failure on my part. Oh my God, this is not okay. Okay. Let me see. Maybe I can pull her closer to me really quick. Oh, man. You have a bare... No, I don't have anything, Brad, okay? I don't have anything. Here's the problem. Even if I have a light to put here, there is empty space. You don't light air. See, watch. If I do this, watch. This is empty space. It's not going to light unless I put fog in there, right? But I'm not... I'd have to shoot down. Can I shoot down? This is not going to go well. This is not going to go well. All right. Here's my options. And I'll be very, very blunt. Here's my options. Either I shine, I have a 500 watt LED back there that's going to take me a minute to set up, but I can set that up and pump it down on these chairs as hard as I can and try to shoot down and try to make that the background. I don't think that's going to be too great. Or I shoot up into these lights and make these light source the overexposed background. But one way or another, I got to try to have an overexposed background. Why am I doing this? Why? You know, these streams don't even get enough views. But here we go. I'm going to drive myself crazy on a 97-degree day for you guys. For you. Not for me, for you. This is why I only like 3 people and pizza. This is why. This is what's happening. Ugh. I don't know what's going on anymore. We're gonna see what happens here. I'm gonna shine a light pumped up as much as I can towards those chairs and see what I can get going here. Yeah, I'm not gonna put fog in this space because 1, it's a hot day and there's nobody here and I don't need to affect the store. 2, I don't want to find out what happens when we have so much of that fog in here and the for some reason some weird old school fire alarm in here goes nuts and I wreck a whole system. What's going on, man? You still in New York? This is the guy, by the way, that sent me this heart bottle. Get over here. Now I'm doing this. Check 1, check. Come over here. This is Mike Carball in the chat, by the way.
Hi, everyone.
This is the...
Right, there it is.
You all right?
Oh, Vanessa Joy's in here?
Is this on? Is this on? Hold it close to your face.
Hello? Check.
All right.
Testing.
This is the guy that sent me that glass heart bottle, this thing that we died a glorious death on. But he's here visiting from where?
Phoenix, Arizona.
He came to 2 events. He came to the GoPro photo walk. How was that?
GoPro was fun. That was a lot of fun.
That was?
Yeah. I never really played with the GoPro before, and that was really cool to see.
Did they give you memory cards?
I brought my own, but
Okay.
they were giving them out too. So.
And then you came back for Chloe, I think, right?
Chloe's event, yeah.
How was that?
That was a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just always cool just to see different lighting setups that people do. Oh, hi, Vanessa.
Yeah, so
Oh, there's Brad. Hey, Brad.
this is actual community. See this? This guy leaves a bottle with Maury over there, with sad Maury at the cannon booth. Yep. And we end up shooting it. He comes hang out, goes to 2 classes, and now what are you doing now? What are you getting?
I was dropping off some. I bought a bunch of stuff, and so I was just dropping off the stuff I didn't need.
All right, well, there you got that. So you want to shout out your IG?
Oh yeah, my Instagram is r_sic. I haven't been active on there for the last year or so, but I just recently started using it again.
All right, so go give him a follow. Next time you see Mike Carbajal in the chat, this is that guy. All right. All right, cool. Thanks, man. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this. Got the harness on. Swivel.
Pancake lens.
That looks like an Oreo. Looks like an Oreo. Oh,
I didn't want to carry all my stuff with me today.
Oh, I know what that is. Yeah. And you got a little level on it.
Yeah. My last day here. Last full day here. I go to Jersey tomorrow. So
going to Jersey tomorrow. What an upgrade. Going from New York to Jersey. Amazing.
I'm actually gonna hit up Jersey Shores to see it.
It's gonna be 100 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I mean, enjoy that.
It's 117 in Phoenix, so
yeah, but it's dry. Here it's
I know what you mean now. This humidity is terrible. It sucks. I'm like dying over here. Well, it can't be that high. Like it's New York, but nope. This 75, 90 degree or 90% humidity.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's rough.
Brutal. People just go to movies, or you go into like a supermarket just to go into a supermarket. Like, oh, I don't need it. I'm just gonna walk around. But it is what it is.
I went and bought a bunch of water yesterday, and walking back, it's only like 3/4 of a mile, drenched.
Yep. See, people
Carried,
don't get
like,
this.
3 gallons of water.
Oh, Vanessa's saying run away from the Jersey Shore. So, do you not like spray tan? Are you not a fan of spray tan? No. Yeah, come on. He's got to see the Jersey Shore once.
I gotta go to the shore house.
You got to Asbury Park or whatever. Oh my gosh. Well, did you go to Coney Island yet?
I did. I went to Mermaid Festival.
The Mermaid Parade.
Yeah.
I missed the Mermaid Parade this year.
That was actually pretty cool.
It's amazing, right? It's
Yeah.
just like a mess.
It was, yeah, it was a little too much for me. I walked around, I was like, yeah, this is no way.
I've gone every year. I've missed 3 years my entire life. It is an S show, I'll say, but it's like the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. Everybody's just like, does not care, dressed like psychopaths, and Nathan's.
Yeah,
So did you get Nathan's?
I didn't.
Failed. The guy failed.
I want to get a nutcracker, but I already had like a pina colada with me. So
Yeah, don't trust any of that stuff, man. But listen, enjoy the Jersey Shore. You're always welcome back here. I remember I met you at WPI, didn't I?
yeah, WPI.
Yeah.
Vegas, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I'll be back at Imaging. Maybe I'll see you at WPI or one of those shows. But if you see him in the chat, this is Mike, and give him a follow. All right?
Cool.
Yeah, man, it's good seeing you.
I'm gonna try to come by or Wednesday too.
Wednesday's Anya.
Yeah.
Thursday is Dan.
Well, so we're gonna be up at some bars on Wednesday.
Okay.
So we're going to some of the bars like on the lower west side.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to swing back up here, but Thursday morning we're actually driving up to upstate. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate
Man, you've been all over the place.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much, man.
Cool, good seeing you.
Appreciate you. All right. I don't know what I was doing. Oh yeah, this pane light. This light that I did not want to set up. But because you guys, because somebody had to ask a thing about a thing, this is what I'm doing. All right, let's do this. So, man, I always say like, I'm going to take it easy this Monday. I'm not going to go crazy. Why would I go crazy? It's 1,000,000 degrees. Wah! And I was sick all week. I'm not going to go bananas. What am I doing? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing what I said I was going to do and try to make some sort of demo happen that's worthwhile for you guys. All right, let's go reflector on this thing really quick and run a power cable. All right, you guys still with me? Everybody still with me? All right, so what I'm doing is I'm setting up a 500 watt LED. This is a Nanlite Forza 500. This is my emergency light. If I say like, man, I need a constant light real fast, I usually throw this one up and we get going. So you can see it's relatively, I know I'm making a whole drama about this, but it's pretty quick to set up. Now I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to crank this all the way to 100. And I'm sorry, Wes, I'm sorry. And we're going to, oh, I am caught on the bottom of the stand like a mook. Come on, there we go. All right, so we will make the chairs as bright as I can get them within reason, where we can kind of simulate a background that's got a lot of light on it. Let me get an Apple box, because now I'm shooting with a lens that is too long for what I'm trying to do, because I needed something that was shallow enough. Here I am. Oh, wait a second. You know what I have? I think I have a 51.8 somewhere. Let me see if I got a 51.8. But just to give you guys an idea of what's going on here, this is that light ripping into the event space right now, okay? I am annoying everybody in the store for you guys, okay? I think I'm gonna switch to this 50 I have laying around here somewhere. So instead of the Plena, which is a very tight lens, I will shoot. Let me see if I got one. Hang on. Jesus, man. I knew this was gonna turn into a mess. Part of me knew it. Yep, I got a 51.8. I'm gonna go with the 50 so it's a little easier on me, because this is just crazy. I don't know what I'm doing this for anymore. I don't know where I am. I feel like in my golden years, I'm gonna be such an old, confused man walking around New York going, high-speed sync. All right, let me get a remote. All right. So let's see what this looks like. Man, it's not even that bad. It's really not that overexposed, but I tell you what we'll do. I'm gonna bounce light off of this countertop I have here really quick, and we'll shoot down and we'll try to make something happen. It might not be overexposed, but it'll be a mess, and you guys will deal with it. Okay, so let me go into this. Let me take a shot. This is 1.8 200th of a second, right? It's shallow, it's bright, but it's nothing crazy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually raise up my ISO just to simulate a more of an overexposure happening, all right? So I'm gonna go up to 800 ISO just to overexpose that background. She's gonna have actual light on her because I think I have, there we go. So now it's overexposed back there. I want her more silhouetted. I'm trying to decide where this light is coming from. Oh, it's the windows. Ah, the windows. I'm gonna close the shade on the windows and try to give her more of a backlit, silhouette type situation. All right. She might be getting a bunch of light from the projector too, but because we are force feeding light into this camera. Oh wow, I just saw a bunch of light go down on her. Okay, so that's good. Let's try this again. Again, I was not planning this, but this is what you guys do to me. This is what happens. This is what we do. Where'd I put the camera? Somebody tell me where I put my camera. Where did we put the camera? All right, let's go back into this. Let's take another look at her. So that was the light coming in from the windows. Okay, so we got this and we got this. I'll take it, all right? I feel like there's something else coming in, but I think what's pretty much happening now is the light that's lighting me is reflecting a little bit off of the projection screen, is what it is, but we have more or less a backlit situation here. Okay, so now I put on my strobe. What am I in? I am in group A. I'll put on TTL and we will just light her. I feel like I should put a really small light source on here, but I think this will be fine. All right, I'm gonna go into TTL. Where am I at? Okay, so you guys are watching this, right? Okay, so if I put it in, put it on, TTL. That is a lot of light coming in. And the reason that is, oh, you're not gonna believe this, guys. You ready for this? Guess what the power of that light is? 0.1. I'm not even making this up. Let me show you. This is TTL saying you have way too much sensitivity and light being force fed into that camera. This is 1/10 of a stop. This is 1/10 of a tenth. This is as low as the light goes and it's overexposed. Crazy, right? I wonder if we can recover this. Let's see what happens. It is a raw file. I wonder what happens if I do this. Oh man, that Z63 just has no dynamic range, as they tell me on YouTube and all these influencer channels. How am I recovering this? I thought there's no dynamic range on this camera. I thought it was all witchcraft. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna try to do this in camera. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna put a modifier on this strobe that's gonna eat up a bunch of light. Why? Because I got to, and I want to make the light tighter. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 1x3 strip with a grid on it. This should eat up, I'm going to say maybe at best a couple stops, but probably not even that much. Let's see what happens. You guys with me? You guys with me? All right. Let me just see what she's looking like. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's try TTL again. TTL was like, that's the best I got for you, boss. And I was like, not good enough. Let's take a look. All right, TTL is looking a lot better now, huh? Because It is still at 0.1. This is as low as this light is gonna go. This is like, yo, it's almost like thank you for putting on that softbox because I'm pretty much at perfect exposure. Look at this, she's got texture on white paint. This is the lowest possible light I can get out of here. But let's say I want, which is actually gonna work in our favor. It's actually gonna work in our favor because we're about to surge it with power by boosting up our shutter speed, right? So if I go into a live view of this, right? And we, whoop, what am I, she's backlit, so it's weird. So we're doing this, right? If I speed up my shutter speed to about a 2,000th of a second, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like after I put that 2,000th. You guys see the difference? All right. So now we should technically automatically go into high speed sync. Technically. Let's take a look. High speed sync, and she's beautiful, and that background has now been mitigated, but not just the background, but all the ambient light. That's why you don't see that fill on the left side coming in anymore, right? You don't see it because that fill actually was ambient, not just background light, ambient, okay? Now, if I look at the power of the light, guess what? Guess what we went up to? Everybody put their guess. If we went from 0.1 without high-speed sync on, 0.1 without high-speed sync on, what do you think we went to once high-speed sync went into play? This is actually a really good example because we're seeing the most extreme version of this. We're talking about the lowest possible power this light had before high-speed sync. Put your number guesses in there. Give me from 1 to 10 with decimal points. Put your guesses in there because kids, you're not gonna believe this. This is, and don't forget, it was 0.1 with the softbox on. I'm not gonna touch anything, I just wanna show you. Everybody put it down, all right? All right, here we go, final guesses. 3, 2, 1. 5.7, kids. Are you kidding me? We went from a 10th of a 10th. We went from basically a bazillionth, right? I'm gonna say that's technical, right? I don't even know what that is, 0.1. That is the lowest possible light you can get out of here, all the way up almost 6 stops of power. And that was a light that was a foot away from her face. Oh, and I'm at ISO 800, by the way. A foot away from her face. If that doesn't show you that if we were in situations where it just goes straight up to 10 all the way, or if we were closed down a little bit more, yeah, it puts a lot of power through that light. Just to stay in sync. Just to stay in sync. 5.7. I'm even gonna flip it upside down so it can flip around. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's bananas. But that just shows you how much power gets surged, right? You know, I thought this was going to be a mess, but not for nothing. This is pretty good. Pretty good demo. Wow, I'm sweating to death. Does this kind of showcase it for you guys a little bit? I mean, we really went crazy with the dramatic example here, 0.1 and all that stuff, but you know, holy hell. I have got to put this air conditioner on before I die. Does this give you guys an idea? Was this helpful for you guys? Tell me, you know. But I think this really showcases what's going on here. I mean, we were blown out here with that background pretty blown out. We sped our shutter speed from 200th to 2000th, and we went into high speed sync. Kind of nuts. This is kind of crazy. It's this overexposed, but we can just recover this, no problem. Just boom, 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 boom. Maybe warm it up a little bit, you know. And she's all good. Look at that. The Z6 III has no dynamic range. Rawr. Oh, YouTubers, you're so cute. So cute. All right. Whoa. I did not expect to go down that rabbit hole. My gosh, where are we at? Again, we're over the hour. So basically, yeah, jumped 5.6 stops. So about 5.5 stops, I'd say. Don't forget, it had a modifier on it, so that was eating 2 stops. But still, even when we put the modifier on, we shot here. Where was I? We shot here at 0.1, right? 0.1, I boost from 200th to 2,000th of a second, and boom, we're here. And that light boosted up in power to mitigate for the high-speed sync pulsing to give us this exposure. At a foot away from her face, right, a foot, 2 feet maybe. 2 feet away from her face. No, actually, no, with the softbox on. 1.5 away from her face. Really close at 1.8. This is as ideal as you can get. You're wide open, your light is close, and this thing surged in power. That's what it is, guys. There was this weird phenomenon, I know Vanessa knows, there was this weird phenomenon where everybody in all these YouTube channels was just like, everything's high-speed sync, yay! And we're just like, what are you using high-speed sync for everything? It just didn't make sense. You have a longer flash duration, so if you're trying to freeze action, you'll be doing it with the shutter speed, not the strobe, because you're just cranking up that shutter speed now, right? Meaning if you're shooting at 1,000th of a second, you're not really going to freeze action because the strobe is a longer duration. So the strobe is actually going to cause some sort of motion blur, believe it or not. If you were shooting at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, like 4,000 a second, you are freezing action at that point because of the shutter speed, not the strobe, because in high-speed sync, the flash duration is longer, but you're also shooting at a fast enough shutter speed to cut that apart, right? So you're going to be putting wear and tear on your strobe by surging power. The strobing, don't forget that the pulsating, that boosts up heat, that boosts up the wear on the capacitors, the recycling, all that kind of stuff. The wear on the bulb itself physically, it does add up. Not to say that it can't handle it, not to say that's not designed to handle it, but you are absolutely putting nitrous oxide through that engine, in my opinion. In my opinion, right? Now, when do you use high-speed sync? When you want a shallow look and there's a lot of ambient light. That's where I'm at. Okay? Amazing to see 3.5 stops. No. So, Jacob, we put the softbox on. Okay, so when we did this, right? Overexposed, right? This was just a raw light, no modifier on it. I was hedging my bets, but didn't work out. She's physically painted white. It was not going to work out too well. So anyway, we put on, this was a raw light. Then I put on the softbox, and the softbox kept the light at the same power, but knocked out 2 stops that were hitting our subject. Okay, so it got us to an exposure. So it was still at 0.1 power, but then getting knocked down even further off of what was reflecting off our subject. Not what was coming out of the light, but what was coming out of the softbox, right? So the light was still hanging on to that power that it was trying to push out there. We were just basically not letting all of it hit our subject. Then we put it into high-speed sync, right? Raw light, too much power no matter what we did. Softbox, we basically handicapped the light even though it was all the way down at power, all the way. And then we went to high-speed sync. All right. Whew. Man, I am drenched, guys. This shirt is, whew, this shirt is not having a good day. I'll say that. Man. I always say to myself, one day I'm going to buy a kiddie pool and throw it on my roof and shut my phone off. And that's not happening. Also, my roof is painted silver, so I'm just like asking to die, basically. That actually went a lot better than I thought it was going to go. So that's good. That's good. Yeah, I know I'm on like a pretty heavy delay because I want to keep these streams in 4K. I believe that higher production, higher looking video is worthwhile. So I apologize if like your questions are coming in and I'm like too late on them. Is this good for everybody? I think this is a pretty sound example of what is, you know, what's up, right? High speed sync is not a magic bullet. High speed sync is a specific use case, and I understand someone hearing what high speed sync is maybe and then making that their default, like, oh well, I'll just keep it that way because it might be I might just need it or whatever. But the reality is there's a reason cameras have an auto high speed sync, right? There's a reason that cameras automatically go into high speed sync after the sync that the camera's rated at, because you don't need it otherwise. You're really robbing the strobe of power. And if you were to close down at all, you would not be able to get enough power out of this. So think of it this way. 1.8, we had what, 4 more stops of power on that light? Okay, so if I close down to 2, 3, 4, if I go to F8, actually let's try that. Let's throw F8 in this mix and see what happens. I'm gonna put the softbox on, F8, right? Same thing, we're doing all the same stuff, all the same things, right? I'm not changing anything, right? I'm gonna take a shot with the power that it's set at, and then we'll do one in auto, in TTL and see what it gives us. But 2,000th of a second, we're gonna shoot at F8 and see what happens, okay? We might have enough overhead here to get through this. We might survive this one, but I think it's gonna get a little rough. So that's F8 at almost 6, right? So let's put on TTL. All right, TTL, guess what? Take a guess at what we got up to going to F8. And don't forget, this box, let me show you guys. I'll show you how close it is to her. Don't forget, this is how close it is. She is, I'm not kidding you, 1.5 feet, not even 2 feet. You guys see that? Right? So take a guess at what the number on the back of that strobe is gonna say. Oh, was this up the whole time? Was this question up the whole time? Sorry, guys. Brad's saying a full 10. Full 10. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm just going to show you the strobe. But if this was any further from her, we'd have been sunk, because we're at 9.4, kids. 9.4. That means I got a little bit more than a half a stop to go at 1.5 feet from her. So what would happen if she was, I don't know, photographing a dancer? You're going to have that light 1.5 feet from her? No, you're not. You're going to have your light 5 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet away. You're going to be pumping power like no tomorrow just because you put into high speed sync. Why? To get this amazing shot? And look at that. Look how much it robs. That strobe was hitting behind her before. Not anymore. Oh, you know what? Nope, this is my mistake. I didn't put on the ambient light. This is my mistake. Do not go by this. We didn't put on the LED light. That was my fault. My fault. My fault. The background is black because the LED light's not there, and someone's sitting right where that light is, so I'm not going to turn it on. That was my fault. But you get the idea, right? You get the idea, right? We are robbing power out of our strobe at high speed sync. So if you are trying to do something that's not F2 with the light close up, you're going to be facing some issues. So this is where the power of your strobe comes into play, right? So this is a B30, this is a B20? This is a B20, so 250 watt seconds. If I had a 500 watt second strobe, that's one extra stop I get to play with, right? So this would have read, what, 8.4, not 9.4? That extra stop could mean life or death for you, sure. Totally could. 600 watt strobes, 1,000 watt strobes. When people look at Pro packs that are 2,400 watt seconds, when you look at Pro D3s that are 1,250 watt seconds, you quickly realize when you need that power. When that light's got to run some distance, if you got to go into high speed sync, if you've got to do large modifiers, if you've got to cover a large area, if you need to close down, right? Commercial sets, I am not running 1.8. Commercial sets, they're not looking for everything to be out of focus, right? I think what we shot? We shot the glass bottle last time. What'd I shoot that at? I probably shot it closed down. What'd I shoot the bottle at? Does anybody remember? F11. We shot the bottle at F11. I'm not even F11 for this. Right? So you're not shooting shallow. So you're gonna be needing light to get through that aperture, but you're gonna be robbing the strobe of the power to get there. It's not, high speed sync is not everything. It isn't. So, and I know someone that's watching this back is gonna say something about global shutter. Well, you've got one option for that so far, and that's a $6,000 camera. You got a few years easily till we start seeing global shutter being what's up, and we'll see what's going on. And we don't know, right? We don't know if global shutter is going to get better with dynamic range and noise and all this other stuff, right? We don't know where we're going. Obviously, everything always gets better. Why is everybody on Earth texting me when I go live? Anyway, does that make sense to everybody? I hope so. This went a lot better than I thought it was going to go. I'm not going to lie. This seemed like a soupy mess from those questions. Do I know when the what is that? Do I know when firmware 3.0 for the Z8 is going to go public? I don't know. If I go by Nikon's track record, I would say probably later next month. Nikon does this thing where they announce a firmware, and I think they run testing through it like crazy before they post it up. So, which is great. We want that, right? We don't want firmware to go hit the world and find out a bunch of bugs and everyone bricks their cameras, right? That said, watch updating any firmware for any system or any equipment, no matter what it is, because there's always variables that are out there from, like, maybe using a memory card they didn't test it with. Who the hell knows, right? So give it a couple weeks, see if there's reports of some kind of weird issue before you go right into the new firmware on anything. And I mean that, all right, guys? I know I have a habit of doing that sometimes, but that's because I've got to talk about it or use it and show something, you know? Man, oh man, why didn't I do this before? Oh, guys, you haven't lived till you've done this. This is insane. It's bad in here. It's like, you don't understand. Turns into, there's no ventilation up here. Nah, thank you guys. Look, what's today, Monday? Wednesday, Anya Auntie is going to be live. Don't forget her. She's going to be great. Tell me I got a thing. Don't forget to join the Discord, kids. Adorama.com/Discord. The conversations can keep going. I want to revive that Discord. It was a big thing during the gaming era that we were in when we had the Twitch channel. So Adorama.com/Discord, sign in, hit OK on the rules, and everything else will unlock. Share work, answer each other's questions, ask questions. There's brand reps in those chats, but I know I got to remind them that it's there because we kind of let the Discord go dormant for a long time, sadly. Let's pick it back up. Live stream announcements will be in there, deals from Adorama themselves, event announcements, new product announcements, new videos. Everything will be going on inside that Discord. And it's a 24/7 forum of nerds that you can go, hey, this is happening. Can we fix this? Don't forget, Daniel Norton comes back. But first, we got Anya Auntie on Wednesday. Everything's always 5 o'clock except for this, masochistic live stream that I do for you guys. 5 p.m. She's gonna be shooting from zero to finish. I mean, she's going to set up, photograph herself as a high concept, portrait, like a fine art portrait, and then do the photo manipulation to finish right in front of you guys' faces. She's probably gonna be covered in a bunch of gunk if I know her right, with like all sorts of paint and weird stuff. And then Daniel Norton will be doing the most clickbait title ever, clean, beautiful portraits made easy. Does it get more clickbaity than that? You know there's going to be a model here. You know, we love Quinn. I know. She's not even sweating. It's amazing. But Dan will be shooting live, and he'll be doing that twice a month, so that's Thursday. It's a packed, and Wednesday morning, Coffee with Creators comes back. I'm going to bring my buddy Kevin on, shoots for the FDNY, and he shoots for like every metal band under the sun. He's always calling me up like, hey, I got Jerry Only from the Misfits. You want to hang out? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So hang out on Wednesday, 11 a.m. on the main channel, but everything else is happening here. Daniel is live on the main channel. I know, we're giving you guys whiplash. Also, check out the compilation videos. I've been mixing together some of the past live streams, so you can leave them on for 2-3 hours. Just let them run while you're editing or whatever's going on. And yeah. Jose is asking, could you recommend your 24 to 120 on the Z32? Well, the Z30 is a crop sensor camera, so that 24 to 120 turns into like a 36 to, I don't know, 180 in field of view. So you don't really get the wide angle feel of it. And it is going to be a little front heavy feeling. Like this is a 24 to 120, right? The Z30, while it has a decent grip, it's going to be a pretty big lens for that camera, so just keep that in mind. What I'd recommend is try to see it in real life. If you're in New York, stop by Adorama, you can try it out. But yeah, wow, this lens is filthy. I don't know how I got so much junk on all my stuff. Next week is, I don't know what we're doing next week. Is it 7:30? Oh no. All right, I'll go live. Usually we take the week of the July 4th and don't plan anything, but I'll go live for you guys. Make sure you're hitting like, make sure you're sharing this channel around, and make sure if you're new here, you're hitting subscribe. I want to grow this channel. I want to get that silver play button. We got a gold button on the main channel. This one's got to get at least a silver, or I'm walking out of here. I don't care. I don't care about any of you, right? I'm walking out of here. All right, last questions. Last call. All the blood you shoot. There isn't any blood on this camera. I haven't shot anything grimy with the Z6 III. I've been shooting everything Z8, Z9, and GFX for all that stuff. I like high res. I prefer a lot of high res for the special effects shoots. There's a lot of detail in those shots. There's a lot of times we crop in heavy for product page type things, like right on the cusp of the eye or something like that. So I like a lot of resolution on that type of stuff. All right, guys, look, it's super hot out. I hope you guys stay cool and healthy. Make sure you swing by Adorama if you're coming to, you just saw Mike swing by. He's staying in Brooklyn for a couple weeks. He went to 2 classes. He's about to make it 3 classes for free while he's staying here. What are you doing? Don't forget, if you check out Adorama first, for anything you guys are looking for, you're supporting your own people. I got kids here that are between gigs, that are working alongside while they're out there in the field. How do you think they stay employed here? You guys, those cameras are the same price everywhere. Make sure you check them out here. If you are buying a new camera, make sure you get the Capture One bundle. I think it's like half or free for Capture One with some new cameras. Make sure you keep an eye on that. Adorama Rentals, if you guys want to try anything out. Adorama Printique, if you guys want to get anything printed. And this will be here for you when you're ready, okay? All right, listen, guys, I want to say thanks to Vanessa for popping in here. Marcus, Brad, everybody. I am going to pack up. I'm going to hydrate. I'm going to go die. And then maybe I'll see if I make it back here next week, okay? I'm sorry, the critique's back. July 22nd. Submit your work. Go to Adorama on Eventbrite, and you guys can submit up to 3 images. Me and Dan will take a look at it. I'll give you some feedback. Whew. I wish it was super rainy here. We're about to get a lot of rain. We're about to get hit. All right. You guys have a good rest of your day, all right? I don't know what's up. But these used to be an hour long. What's happening? Guys, be good to each other. You can follow me here. Check out, oh, why didn't someone tell me that this is still on the screen? You guys can check me out here. You can go check out my work on Instagram, yell at me on Twitter. Check out my videos on my YouTube channel if you guys want some other videos to check out. And yeah, I know the question is still up. I can only do so much. Do you guys look at what's going on here? She's no help. Look at this. All right? I gotta go. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. There must be some sort of pasta related thing happening here and Monday Night Raw happening like right about here. I need to see this and this, okay? I will see you guys on Wednesday. I want to see you in that chat for Code with Creators, and I'll see you here for Anya's demo. And make sure you give Maury a hug. He's so lonely. I'm looking at him right now. He's so sad. Look at this guy. You want to come on? You want to come on? Yeah, you stay over there? All right, guys, be good to each other. Later.